Welcome back to Inhibition. Today's topic, police shootings. Is it racism? Is there an epidemic of black people being killed by police? It's time we talk about it. All right, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. If you're new here, go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you're interested in more videos, we put videos out every single week talking about politics and religion and things in the news. So if you're interested, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's jump into it. We're going to talk about police shootings. We're going to break down the numbers, and we're actually going to look and determine, is this an epidemic in our country?
But before we get into that, I do want to address right from the beginning of this video, racism. Racism is morally abhorrent. It is absolutely immoral. The color of someone's skin does not say anything about who they are as a person or anything about them. It is absolutely disgusting to be racist or to judge someone based on the color of their skin. It is anti-American, it is anti-Christian, it is anti-humanity. Why do I say that at the beginning of this video? Because many times when someone calls something racism and people begin to look into the details of that, it turns out it isn't actual racism. If someone makes a claim of racism and we can look at the facts and see that it truly was racism, we absolutely need to stand united together to condemn that. However, something is not racism just because someone uses the label and calls it that. And so we need to be able to look at the facts, and if something is actually not racism and it's being thrown around or it's being called racism simply because people want to use it as a political weapon against people they disagree with, it actually cheapens real racism, and that actually brings harm to victims of real racism. And so I point that out to say that number one, we're going to investigate if there is real racism involved here, and number two, we are also going to say right from the beginning, I condemn racism, but if I don't agree with you that something is racism, that does not make me racist. So I want to point that out right from the beginning. Now let's get into it. And be sure to stick around to the end because we're going to start out talking about the numbers, but then we're going to actually look at examples of police shootings and find out what actually happened.
All over the country, we're hearing about police shootings, and it seems like every time you turn on the news, there's another shooting of a black person in this country. And there seems to be, based on what we can tell in the media, an epidemic going on of police killing black people in this country. That's why the whole Black Lives Matter movement was started to begin with. We're going to break down the numbers and let's see what actually is going on in this country. According to the Washington Post, they have a database tracking police shootings, and about 1,000 people a year are fatally shot by police since the police brutality protests erupted. Not the ones in 2020, but going all the way back. It appears about 1,000 people are fatally shot by police. That sounds like a large number. We look at here, we can see by year, in 2015, the police fatally shot 994 people. In 2016, it was 962 people. In 2017, 986 people. In 2018, 991 people. 2019, 1,004 people. 2020, which was a very rough year last year, 1,021 people. And then so far to date in 2021, it's been 353 people. That is the number. So roughly averaging out to about 1,000 people per year, the police fatally shoot. Now, 1,000 seems like a very large number. Let's break this down a little bit more for 2020. Out of the 1,021 people fatally shot by police in 2020, a total of 55 of those shot were unarmed. 24 of those were white, 18 of those were black, 10 of those were of other races, Asian, Hispanic, etc., and 3 of them had an unknown race. We didn't know their race or it wasn't reported. 24 white, 18 black, 10 of other races. Interesting here because white people, just based on the raw numbers, seem to have more people shot by police. We're going to look at at that a little bit more in depth as we go, so stay tuned. But let's also go ahead and break down 2021's numbers. Out of the 353 people that were fatally shot by police in 2021 so far, a total of 11 of those were unarmed. 5 of those were white, 4 were black, 2 of those were Hispanic. That's the 11 people. Again, white people make up the highest number here. I want to point out that unarmed does not absolutely mean it's an unjustified shooting. Many times, someone who is unarmed can still be a threat. For example, if I knock you to the ground and I am beating you with my fists and I have you pinned down, I could be a physical threat and potentially a deadly threat to you with my fists. Just because I don't have a weapon in my hand other than my fist does not mean that I'm not a threat. So saying that they shot unarmed people, that alone does not make it unjustified. Keep that in mind when we talk about unarmed people in this video. Diving a little bit deeper, let's compare the number of people killed by police in a fatal shooting with the amount of police encounters that the public have with police. We can get these numbers from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, and in the prior 12 months as of 2018, among persons aged 16 or older, about 61.5 million residents had at least one contact with police. 61.5. And that's actually not the full number because many people have more than one encounter with police, right? So this is just the number of people who had at least one contact. People may have more than one contact, which means that 61.5 million would actually be a higher number of police encounters for that year. 61.5 million is a lot. Going with this lowest possible number of police encounters, 61.5 million, let's do some math. Now, I know you don't watch YouTube to have a math lesson, but let's dig a little bit and do some math. 1,021 fatal police shootings in 2020 divided by 61.5 million police encounters comes out to the number 0.000166016260163. That means only 0.002% of police encounters end in a fatal shooting. Now, to say that another way, 99.998% of police encounters do not end in a fatal shooting. So while 1,000 is a lot of people, in comparison to the number of encounters the police have with the public, it is actually a very, very minuscule, rare number. There is not an epidemic of police shootings. I know it seems like it because that's all the media talks about, but I'm telling you, the numbers do not bear that out. Let's break this down a little further and let's look at unarmed people. If you take the number of unarmed people divided by the police encounters, you get 0.000000009% of police encounters end in the shooting of an unarmed person. Again, to say that another way, that's 99.99999991% of police encounters end without shooting an unarmed person. There is not an epidemic of police shootings. There is definitely not an epidemic of police shootings of unarmed people. Now, we can break this down by race, because what about race? That's what we're always talking about, right? There is an epidemic of police shooting black people. So clearly, we've seen that the breakdown of the numbers doesn't support that there's an epidemic of police shootings, but maybe the police shootings are skewing towards black people, and that's making it more dangerous for them. Well, first of all, in raw data, more white people are fatally shot by police than black people. In 2020 and 2021, the data combined says 1,374 people have been fatally shot by police. 576 of those were white and 310 were black. 66 unarmed people were fatally shot by police during 2020 and 2021 combined. 29 white people and 22 black people. 41% of people fatally shot by police are white. 23% of people fatally shot by police are black. So just based on percentages, white people absolutely are getting killed at a higher percentage than black people. 44% of unarmed people fatally shot by police are white. 33% of unarmed people fatally shot by police are black. Now, are we sure that the raw data is what we should be looking at? Because according to this information, black people are most at risk, and new studies found that throughout metropolitan areas in the United States, black people are more likely to die in an encounter with police than white people. Black people are more than 3 times as likely as white people to be killed during a police encounter. The research is clear. White people are not more likely than black people to be killed by police. Black Americans are 2.5 times more likely than whites to be killed by police. Police shootings. Black Americans disproportionately affected.
ProPublica study pointed out that it found that Among young black men ages 15 to 19, they were shot by police at a rate 21 times higher than whites the same age. You can see the numbers up there on the screen. 1.47 per million among whites, 31.17 per million among blacks. That's a problem, right?
Yeah, it is true. White people are killed more by cops than black people in this country. But if you adjust for population, black people only make up 13% of the United States population, but twice as likely to be killed by cops than white people.
The death of an unarmed black man.
It has been incredible.
According to the Washington Post database called Fatal Force, 509 people have been shot and killed by the police in the U.S. so far just this year. 24% of those were black people. And that's despite the fact that the black population only makes up 13% of the total population of the United States.
The talk co-host Cheryl Underwood is slamming the wave of police shootings of black men.
Y'all white, y'all drive all the time and don't nothing happen to y'all, and we black, and I'm afraid to drive my damn car because if they don't know who I am, I could be shot. Until y'all feel that, this ain't never gonna stop. Until you all that are not black feel it and stand with us, this is not going to stop.
On The View Wednesday, Whoopi Goldberg also lashed out.
Help us understand who you are as police officers so we can help you do your job and we don't feel like you hunting us.
181 black people have been killed by police in the US since George Floyd's murder in May 2020, according to data from Mapping Police Violence. Nearly 19% of the 966 police killings reported were black people, despite accounting for only 13% of the total population.
So again, there seems to be, at least in the media, this understanding that black people are much more likely to be killed by police than white people. Now, we know based on the pure numbers, that doesn't seem accurate. So where are they getting this information from? How are they coming to this idea that black people are more likely to be killed by police? Well, what about being a percentage of their population? So in total, in the whole country, we can see here that there's a total of about 321 million people, according to 2017 estimates, in this country, and about 73% of those are white. Out of black or African American people, it's about 13% of these people are black. So 73% are white in this country, 13% are black in this country. So if it's 13%, we need to do some math. 576 white people were fatally shot by police, divided by 250.52 million white people in the US, comes out to 0.00002570553. Now, if you multiply that by 100,000, that'll tell you how many people per 100,000 of the population are being killed by police. And in this case, 0.2299 white people per 100,000 of the white population are fatally shot by police. Now, what about with black people? Well, 310 black people were fatally shot by police, divided by the 44 million black people in the US, that comes out to 0.7045 black people per 100,000 of the black population, which are fatally shot by police. That's more than white people. So if we do the math, 0.2299 white people per 100,000 are shot by police, but 0.7045 black people per 100,000 are shot by police. That means that black people have 3 times the chance of being fatally shot by police. That's where they're getting that number. They're basing it on this percentage of the population, that 13% of the population. Now, all of the math sounds right in this argument, but in reality, it's wrong. And I'm going to explain why. Why is this wrong? Why is this statistic? Why are these studies that are getting this number this way, why are they incorrect? Well, the problem is it doesn't account for crime. You see, the assumption is since black people make up 13% of the population, they must make up 13% of the police encounters in this country or 13% of the crime in this country. And unfortunately, that's not true. You can see here out of all offenses, 2.826 million of them are committed by by black people. Now, when you break that down into violent crime, there are 3 specific categories considered in violent crime here, and that's murder, robbery, and aggravated assault. And we can see that in the murder and robbery category, black people actually commit more of those crimes than white people. Aggravated assault, it is actually white people who commit more of that. But if you add those 3 together, which makes up our violent crime rate, you can see the total number of black people who commit violent crimes is 187,460, while it's just over 288,000 for white people. Now, this means something very interesting. 13% of the United States is the black population, but they are responsible for 28% of all crime, 40% of all violent crime, and that means that black people make up more than 13% of the police encounters. So just because they are 13% of the population does not mean that they only make up 13% of the police encounters. Their involvement in crime at higher rates is going to lead them to have more encounters with police, which gives them more of a chance to be shot. So it does not actually work to say that they are 13% of the population and therefore they're 3 times more likely to get shot by police. That is completely an incorrect data point. So when you actually begin to look at police encounters and compare them rather than looking at percentage of the population, the disparity actually disappears. A study published in the Journal of Criminal Justice in 2020 examined racial disparities in officer-involved shootings using violence against police as a benchmark and found that blacks were not more likely than whites to be fatally shot nationally. An article published in the Journal of Crime and Justice in 2019 concluded using violent crime arrests or weapons offense arrests, we observed that black citizens appear less likely to be fatally shot by police. We have an article published in Statistics and Public Safety in 2020 which found that blacks were no longer overrepresented among police shooting victims after the accounting for arrests. A paper published in the Journal of Politics in 2019 examined police killings in 2015 and found that the racial disparity in the rate of lethal force is most likely driven by higher rates of police contact among African Americans rather than racial differences in the circumstances of the interaction and officer bias. A paper published in the Journal of Political Economy in 2019 analyzed officer-involved shootings between 2000 and 2015 and concluded on the most extreme use of force officer-involved shootings, we find no racial differences in either the raw data or when contextual factors are taken into account. Washington State University researchers actually conducted 2 studies measuring police bias in realistic high-definition video deadly forces scenarios involving black and white suspects in which police participants wore on-duty uniforms and were actually equipped with real handguns rigged with 2 lasers. Police participants were not provided with any reason to believe that they were being tested for racial or ethnic bias. And in the first study, published in the Journal of Experimental Criminology in 2012, researchers examined the actions of 36 police officers and found that they were significantly slower to shoot black suspects than white or Hispanic suspects. Again, they did 2 studies. In the second study, which was published in Criminology and Public Safety in 2016, researchers studied the actions of 80 police officers and found that they were more reluctant to shoot black suspects than white suspects. So again, the racial bias here is actually going the other way. So what we want to do is we want to actually look at a couple of examples. We're going to look at 2 specific police shootings that were very controversial, that caused outrage and sparked protests, and that there's a lot of misinformation about, and we're going to dive into these and look at the details. So this is Breonna Taylor. She was 26 years old. She was killed by police when they executed a search warrant on March 13th, 2020 in her home. So let's break this down and see what's going on with this shooting. It was a fatal shooting. Were they targeting her because she was black? What happened? We need to break that down. So she was killed when the police entered her home to execute a search warrant. The police knocked, and when Taylor and Kenneth Walker, which was her boyfriend, did not answer, the police forcibly entered the home. When they did, Walker fired his gun at police, and they returned fire, killing Breonna Taylor in the process. There are a lot of misconceptions and myths around the Breonna Taylor shooting, but let's look at the facts. Let's start with the warrant. So many people actually believe the warrant wasn't actually for Breonna Taylor or her house, and that the police went to the wrong place. There is this misconception that they were looking for Jamarcus Glover, and his address was elsewhere, and they had already already actually raided that address and they ended up at the wrong address somehow, and that's simply not true. You can actually see on the search warrant, this is a copy of the search warrant here, and you can actually see Breonna Taylor's name is indeed on the warrant. They were not just looking for Jamarcus Glover, they were looking for Breonna Taylor. And actually that car, that red car, they spotted that car going back and forth to her house repeatedly. So keep that in mind, that there's a picture of that red car there. But it's not just her name that's on the warrant. Her address is on the warrant. The 3003 Springfield Drive address, that is her apartment. And you can actually see they have a picture of her apartment and her front door on the search warrant. They did not go to the wrong address. It is clear that they were at the correct place serving the search warrant, which did have her name on it and included her address. Many people actually believe the warrant was based on no evidence because an officer had stated that he confirmed with the postal inspector that Jamarcus Glover was receiving packages at her house. It appears that the officer did not confirm that with the postal inspector. However, that's not what the warrant hinged on, and there was plenty of evidence to justify the warrant. So a lot of people, because this warrant, they say, was based on the conversation with the postal inspector, which turns out did not actually happen, then that means the whole warrant is invalid and the judge wouldn't have issued it had that officer not said that. Well, that's not the case. There's plenty of evidence to show that she was involved and that there should have been a search warrant. So breaking this down, the police knew that 2424 Elliott Avenue was a trap house, which is a house where drugs are packaged and sold. Trap houses operate under a stash house, which is a distribution house where drugs and money are stashed and then distributed to be sold. Police want to find the stash house. So police can find a trap house, and their goal is to follow the happenings at that trap house to ultimately find the stash house. And so they're investigating this trap house that they know is a trap house. And again, they're looking for that stash house. Jamarcus Glover was arrested a few times, and it always linked back to the 2424 Elliott Avenue. That's the trap house. And they knew this was the trap house. They gathered intel and they were looking for the stash house. When traffic seemed low at the trap house, Jamarcus Glover or Adrian Walker would show up operating a red 2017 Dodge Charger, that's the license plate, and they would appear to re-up the trap house or refill it, restock it at 2424 Elliott Avenue, and then all of a sudden traffic to the house would increase. This would imply that they were coming from the stash house. So in this red Charger, it would imply that they were coming from the stash house because they would bring drugs from the stash house and re-up or restock the trap house, and then traffic would pick up at the trap house because they now had drugs. So if they ran out, we would see Jamarcus Glover and Adrian Walker come refill the drug supply. PBI detectives observed Jamarcus Glover operating the red 2017 Dodge Charger pull up and park in front of 3003 Springfield Drive. That's Breonna's address. Jamarcus Glover walked directly into apartment number 4. That's Breonna Taylor's apartment. After a short period of time, Jamarcus Glover was observed exiting the apartment with a suspected USPS package in the right hand. And you can see this is the Charger. And over there on the right hand side, right hand bottom picture there, it does look like there is some kind of package or something in Jamarcus Glover's hands. And again, this was all observed on camera. This is all observed on picture and audio. This has all been observed by police. Later on February 13th, 2020, Jamarcus Glover, operating a black Dodge Charger, pulled up in front of 2424 Elliott Avenue, which is the known trap house, and he goes inside the residence. The vehicle, that black Dodge Charger, that was registered to Breonna Taylor at 3003 Springfield Drive, number 4 in Louisville, Kentucky. While waiting, Breonna Taylor gets out of the passenger side of the vehicle and looks around for a few seconds before she gets back into the vehicle. Jamarcus Glover exits 2424 Elliott Avenue, gets back into the vehicle, and then the vehicle pulled off. So they watched and observed Breonna Taylor going with Jamarcus Glover to this known trap house, and even though she didn't go in and get involved, she was there. He goes in, he handles his business, he comes back out, and they leave. And this was all caught on pictures. Here's the video. This is from a pole cam, a light pole cam that is there aimed at the street. And you can see in the pictures that Jamarcus Glover gets out and goes in, and actually Breonna Taylor is there, and she's actually in the pictures. It's important to note that PBI detectives have observed on the pole camera Breonna Taylor's black Dodge Charger pull up in front of 2424 Elliott Avenue numerous times and at varying hours of the day and night. This alone is more than enough probable cause for the warrant. The red Dodger being at her house with the suspicious package, her going to the known trap house with someone who's known to be involved in running these drugs, she's involved. call. Even after her death, Jamarcus Glover actually implicated Taylor on a recorded line from jail. Jamarcus Glover calls Kira Bradley, which is the child's mother, from his dormitory. Bradley says to Glover, "So where your money at?" Glover responds, "Where my money at? Bree," talking about Breonna Taylor, "had like $8,000. Bradley responds to Glover, "Bree had $8,000 of your money?" Glover responds, "Yeah." Glover says to an unknown male that joined the call, "Tell cuz Bree got down like 15,000. She had the 8,000 I gave her the other day, and she picked up another 6,000. So again, Jamarcus Glover is indicating that Breonna Taylor was running drugs for them and had the money. The police did have a no-knock warrant, but they did not. This isn't disputed by anyone, including Kenneth Walker, Breonna's boyfriend, who was in the house. Kenneth did say that he didn't hear them announce who they were, but an eyewitness, the only eyewitness who actually would have been in a position to actually hear it, heard the police announce themselves also. So the police did announce themselves even though they had a no-knock warrant. The police could not get anyone to answer, so they breached the door, and when they did, Kenneth Walker fired a gun at police and hit an officer. The police fired back, and Breonna Taylor was hit in the crossfire. This was an unarmed black person being shot, but it was not murder or racism. It was a tragedy. There is no evidence of racism, no evidence of this being race-based. It is a tragedy. Now we're going to look at police shooting number 2 as an example. This is going to be Rayshard Brooks. He was 27 years old when he was killed on June 12th, 2020. He was killed in Atlanta. We're going to break down the video. There was the entire footage of this shooting and everything that led up to it is on video. And so we're going to break down the video piece by piece and talk about what actually happened. Rayshard was fatally shot in the back after police were called for him being asleep in his car in a Wendy's drive-thru. We're going to look at some video from the body cam footage and break down what actually happened. This is the start of the encounter, and it's very important to understand what's about to happen.
Yo. Yo. What's up, my man? Hey. Come in. Hey. Hey, man, you're parked in the middle of the drive-thru line here. Hey.
Copy 41 no injury.
Sir.
25 westbound at Jones.
What's up, man?
25 west.
Hey, you're parked in the drive-thru right now. Hey, sir.
Called in by a third
You right?
party. Still black Toyota Camry and an unknown.
Dude, you're parked. You're sitting in the drive-thru line here. What's up? So you're parked in the drive-thru line. You're blocking traffic here. You were sleeping when I walked up here. What's up, man? You just have a long day or something? What's up? Alright, yeah, you can't, you're blocking, people calling said you were blocking me, alright? You good? You don't need an ambulance or anything like that? Are you just tired? Alright, man, just I'll move my car. Just pull somewhere and take it out. Alright.
2805 Grand Avenue. 2805.
Alright, you good?
Yeah.
Alright. So you're just gonna
Showing maximum motion for rescue.
My man. Man, you doesn't mean go back to sleep. You gotta move your car. You went back to sleep. You went back to sleep. Okay, why don't you move your car into a parking spot, okay? Right now. Alright. Alright. Don't go back to sleep. Just pull over there. I got you. Okay, alright, thank you.
You can see that he went over the curb. Now, in this opening video, this is where the police first encounter him, and you can see he's clearly, something's not right. He was asleep in the Wendy's drive-thru, and he was blocking the drive-thru line. So, from a police perspective, you've got to understand that it appears that he's either intoxicated, he's under the influence of some kind of drug. Police don't know if he's ODing. When someone ODs, they can get very tired and they can just fall over and like sleep. And it appears that they're asleep, they're just completely out of it, and they can't get woken up. There could be there could be medical issues going on. Clearly, something's going on, and the police realize that, and so they get him into a parking spot out of the drive-thru. Clearly, notice that when he tries to pull up, he actually runs over the curb and backs up a little bit. The cop sees this, which clearly shows he's probably intoxicated or under the influence of something. The cop just can't walk away. What if he's ODing? Cop's going to have to continue to stay involved for multiple reasons. Number one, he's clearly impaired, and his own personal health could be in danger. But on top of that, the cop can't just drive away. What if he gets in his car and backs away and drives again under the influence and put other people at risk? So the cop's going to have to get to the bottom of what's going on before he can leave. Now, this next clip, we're going to break down piece by piece to see what's going on. Cop's got him over here. He's walking up to him. He's going to try to talk to him, see what's going on.
Hey, my man. Hey, you good, man? You see me? You were passed out before. I want to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, I'm absolutely great.
Why'd you fall asleep in the...
Waiting on my sister.
What's up?
Waiting on my sister.
Okay, how much did you drink tonight? Not much? How much is not much?
About a drink, like 12 today.
All right. Hey, do you have your license on you real quick?
Yeah.
All right.
Now, he's admitted to having drank. Now, he's saying he didn't have much, but he's admitted to drink. Again, the police are going to get his
Well, no, you
license.
say one drink. What kind of drink was it?
It was just one little margarita.
How about any drugs today?
Absolutely, I don't do drugs.
Okay.
At all.
Okay. Is this a rental car? What's the deal with that?
I sent to center.
You what? Rental, gotcha. Where'd you rent it from?
One place down off the town.
Okay, I gotcha. All right, you keep looking for your license, all right?
I'm gonna get out.
No, just stay in the car for me, all right, man? Just stay in the car for me. Just look for your license. Thank you.
So the guy is continually trying to get out of the car. You'll see that here in a minute as well. And he can't find his license, and he's struggling.
All right, man, just stay in the car for me, all right? Keep looking for your license. I'll be right back with you, all right? All right. One drink a few hours ago, but he's pretty out of it. Definitely.
All right, is he still in the vehicle?
Notice how he just got out of the car after he's been told to stay in the car.
I don't know.
Alright, I'm coming up 75, passing Cleveland now. Maybe shortly.
Copy, appreciate it. Alright, just stay on the car for me for a minute, alright? Perfect.
I'm not sure.
Alright, just stay in the car for me, alright?
Told him repeatedly, stay in the car. He's not being aggressive.
What's up, man?
I just had it when I had it at the hotel.
Okay.
But I did went to room.
Yeah.
And they asked me for it, but they had it the day before.
Alright.
So it was just like, hey, Mr. Brooks.
Alright, you're good. You want to just hop back in the car for me, alright? Alright, appreciate it.
I'm sorry, no problem.
No, you're good, man. Just... Hey. Alright. What's your name, sir?
So he gets his name. He goes back. Now watch this.
Hey, man, just stay in the car. Alright, hey, just stay in the car with me, though, alright?
Coming out of it.
Okay. Alright, man, cool. Thank you.
My wallet. I said, man, you know, I just had my wallet.
Right.
She said, yeah. I called my sister. She said, yeah, you had it.
All right.
Why don't you just put it in your sofa? I said,
all
yeah,
right.
cool.
Let me walk back to the car for a minute, all right? Let me ask you here. Where are you coming from?
Actually, I just came from getting something to eat.
Okay.
From over to the room.
Okay. Hey, well, just get back in the car with me? I hate to keep asking. I don't want to...
So he said, I just came from getting something to eat.
Everything's good.
Yeah, you're good, man. Just why don't you stay in the car for me, all right? I don't want to keep asking you. Just sit in the car for me and relax for a minute, all right? Sir.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
Right, just stay in the car for me, all right? I hate to keep asking.
What's your name, sir?
Brosnan.
Mr. Robin.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I apologize.
You're good, man. Just stay in the car with me.
He's being very nice, cordial. Notice how the cop is not being rude
Where are you coming from?
terrible to this guy at all.
Over in Jonesboro.
Jonesboro? Okay, so what are you doing here?
Something to eat.
Again, you just got something to eat again here?
Yeah.
So he said he went to get something. He just came from getting something.
Why
Now
you
he's
hop in the
getting
car
more
with me,
food.
all right? Just relax in the car.
All these
what
are
are
just signs.
you here for a visit or what's
I'm visiting.
Where are you visiting?
My mother's gravesite.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
How long has she passed for?
It's been probably about a year and a half now, but.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that.
My birthday.
I want to point out that this cop, look how he's talking to him. He's, when he said he went to visit his gravesite, he apologizes, says, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, he asked, how long she's been passed away for, about a year and a half. He's like, I'm sorry to hear that. This cop is not some racist guy who was targeting a black person. He is he has a legitimate reason to be there. He's showing genuine concern for the well-being of Rayshard Brooks. He is doing everything by the book. He's acting very, very professional. He is not targeting him because he's black. And this narrative that white cops are targeting black people and chasing black people down to shoot them is not the case. This cop is being extremely cordial. And even in the context of him constantly getting in and out of his car, I've asked you to sit in your car, stay in your car, stay in your car. Don't come out, don't get out of your car. And he keeps getting out, and the cop's not getting aggressive with him. The cop's not, the cop's just trying to be courteous. And I don't want to have to keep asking, can you just stay in your car? Please, I don't want to have to keep being courteous. He's being very friendly. This cop is not there to target a black person.
Things just passed, and my girlfriend's birthday just passed, but I went to visit her. And
So the reason why we're here is because somebody called 911 because you
see if he's driving
were asleep behind the wheel while you're in the drive-thru, right? You recall that?
I don't.
You don't recall that? You don't recall just minutes ago where you were passed out behind the wheel in the drive-thru? You don't recall that at all?
Absolutely,
just complete blur.
I wasn't driving. Like I said, I just dreamed my girlfriend. She probably was sleeping, but like I said, babe, I want French fries.
So far as I'm aware, you're the only person that's been seen in this vehicle, right?
Yeah, only person.
And you've been in the driver's seat the whole time. So how did the car get into the drive-thru line with you behind the wheel?
She drove here. I said, babe, I'm drinking
in a black car.
In a black Volvo.
And you got into your car.
I said, hey, you know what, no problem. I'll just meet you at the hotel.
Okay.
And she said, hey, get out.
Hold on. So after she drops you off here in her black car, your car was parked where?
Here.
Okay. So how did your car get from here to the drive-thru line?
I never moved.
So how did it get there?
Pay attention to how
it never did get there.
He's talking.
I told you I was in her car.
Well, we got a 911 call.
He's clearly showing this guy's intoxicated.
People reporting a guy passed out behind the wheel
not in his right
the line.
mind.
This officer gets here and sees you. Everything's on camera. Sees you in the line.
Here in the line.
In the line.
I wasn't in the line. Did I pull you over in the line?
I walked up to you. I had to wake you up, man.
You didn't pull him
right
over.
Here?
No, it was here. I had to wake you up.
Your Honor, I just got something to eat. I went to visit my mother's gravesite. I'm not causing any problems.
Well, we got to make sure that you're safe to operate a vehicle. Now, do you know where you are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where
I'm
are
in Forest Park, Old Dixie Highway.
Old Dixie Highway in
The
Forest Park?
Home Lodge is there, right here. Subway.
A Subway, okay.
So it's a Subway right here. I'm cool. Like I said, I could.
So you think that you're in Forest Park right now?
I'm on Old Dixie Highway, Clayton County.
Right. No, you're not.
Well, Forest Park, Georgia.
No.
Jonesboro, Georgia.
No. Try again.
I have to. I mean, like I said, I'm on Old Dixie Highway.
Nope.
I'm not on Old Dixie Highway?
No. Quite a ways away from it.
Huh? This is... A bridge is here.
Nope, no bridge.
No, I'm saying Old Dixie Highway.
You're not near Old Dixie Highway.
I'm not
You're not even in Clayton County.
Where am I?
You're in Atlanta.
Yes. Old Dixie Highway.
Old Dixie Highway is not in Atlanta.
This is Forest Park, Georgia, right?
Right. This isn't Forest Park. This is Atlanta.
I mean,
anyway, how much have you had to drink today?
I drank early.
Clearly,
Okay. How much have you had to drink?
That's when I had one drink.
He is intoxicated.
You're not being honest with me. How much did you have to drink?
Clear on where he's at.
Be honest with me. Over the course of the entire evening, from the time you started drinking until your very last drink, how many drinks did you consume?
I had one drink.
What kind of drink was it?
A margarita.
Okay. How big was the margarita?
It was just a small cup.
Small cup.
Yes, sir.
Have you taken any medication today?
No, sir.
Any drugs of any kind?
No,
Marijuana,
sir.
cocaine, nothing like that?
No, sir.
So he gets him out. He did a field sobriety test.
On a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being completely sober and 10 being very impaired, how do you feel right now?
I feel kind of good, sir. I feel, you know, I'm knowledgeable of everything that's going on, and like I said, I mean, if I just came to get something to eat, you know, and I have people that verify, they made their order. I'm here right at the hotel Home Lodge Inn. You know, it's probably about maybe 2 minutes away from here.
Did you understand what I asked you? Did you understand the question?
Repeat it again for me.
On a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being completely sober and 10 being very impaired, how do you feel?
I'm 10. I'm very impaired.
You feel very impaired?
Absolutely. I'm okay. I can do whatever. Like I said, I can make it happen, sir.
I don't think that means what you think it means. So, 1 being completely sober, haven't drank anything, and 10 being hammered drunk, how do you feel?
I'm 1.
On a scale from 1 to 10.
I'm 1.
You feel completely sober.
Like I said, I just woke up.
You don't feel the effects of the alcohol that you had whatsoever.
I want you to compare
I can make it. I can
how
make it
clearly
wherever I need
intoxicated
to
he
be.
is
I'm right here.
and how
Like
these
I said, I'm
officers
Home Lodge,
are
sir.
treating him.
Home Lodge isn't
They're
close.
not treating him
It's
mean.
right behind the
They're
Home Lodge
not
right here, ain't it?
targeting
Where do you think
him.
you are right now?
I'm on Old Dixie Highway.
You're not on Old Dixie Highway.
Well, I'm not on Old Dixie
What
Highway.
city do you think you're in?
She brought me here.
We have 9 pending,
saying
1 car,
that
2, signal 35 and 17.
I was on Jonesboro,
I have a couple
So
of
what city are you in?
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
On what road?
McDonough Boulevard.
No. Right.
Just take me home. I'm ready to go.
So you had about 1.5 drinks, but you don't remember what kind of drinks they were?
No, sir.
Now, when he
I
said
really
take me
don't.
home, I'm ready
All
to
right,
go,
I think you've had too much to drink to be driving. Put your hands
he was
behind your
talking
back
about his girlfriend.
for me. Here, put your hands behind your back.
So they go to arrest him. He fights.
Hey, stop fighting! Stop fighting! Stop fighting! Stop fighting! You're gonna get tased! You're gonna get tased! Stop!
Mr. Ross.
Stop!
Come on, man.
Stop! You're gonna get tased!
Mr. Ross.
Hey, hands off the fucking taser! Hands off the taser! Stop fighting! Hands off the taser!
You heard hands off the taser.
Stop fighting! Got my fucking taser!
Rayshard grabbed the cop's taser.
63.
There were 3 shots after Rayshard actually turns and fires the taser at the cop. And you can see it here coming up from your left side of your screen by that white car. You're going to see Rayshard and the police coming. There goes Rayshard. Cop. Rayshard turns around, fires the taser. Cop shoots. And then here's the fight that ensued before he took off running. He fights. I want you to see. Cop's trying to subdue him. Cop pulls out the taser and says, "You're going to get tased. Stop fighting. Stop fighting." The cop, he steals the taser. He got the hand on the taser. He knocks the guy to the ground. You can see Rayshard flips him over. Rayshard, right there, that could have killed that cop by slamming his head on the concrete. He punches the cop. That can kill the cop. He tries to taser Rayshard. They take off running, and that's where Rayshard turns and fires the taser at the officer. The officer shoots 3 rounds, 2 of which hit Rayshard, and Rayshard does indeed die. Now, I'll go ahead and give you what I'm going to say, but I want to play something else for you. But clearly, the 2 big things I want to point out in this video is, number one, the cops were not just harassing him. There was a legitimate, clear reason that the cops were dealing with him. He was not just some guy sleeping that they, decided to pick on or mess with. He was clearly intoxicated, and originally the cop had to check on him because he could have been ODing. There could have been all kinds of issues. The cop continues, checking on him. Need to make sure that he's okay to drive. If they leave and he got in that car and they did not arrest him and he just got in that car and he killed somebody, the cops would be responsible. They have to investigate this. So they continue to investigate, determine he is indeed intoxicated, which is clear from everything he's saying, how he's talking. He failed the sobriety test, all of it. And so they're going to arrest him. And when they go to arrest him, he attacks. He fights, knocks them to the ground. He takes the cop and throws the cop over face first onto the pavement, which can actually, if depending on how the cop hits that pavement with his head, can kill the cop. Punches the cop, steals a taser from the cop, and takes off running. The police have a duty to chase after him. They can't just let him go. Number one, he's got a weapon of theirs, and he could use that to harm someone else, an innocent citizen. So they have to chase after him. Number two, he's already assaulted them, showing he's a violent criminal. Now, again, everything was good up until that point, but the moment he was willing to assault an officer, he shows himself to be dangerous, and they have to pursue him. They cannot let that danger slide and just him go out and about his business and possibly harm someone. He's drunk and he's not clearly thinking. So that being said, was this shooting justified? Yes, it absolutely was. And it's not just me who says that. I'm going to play you a clip of a black sheriff who is black, who has examined this, and he's going to explain that it is 100% a justified shooting.
The family attorney in this case says that police should have tried to catch Brooks instead of shooting at him. What is your reaction to that?
Having 30 years in the business, police and law enforcement, and 27 of those years having taught use of force and taught hundreds and hundreds of law enforcement officers across the state of Georgia and other states, I just think that he's a lawyer. He's not a law enforcement officer. I think that it's just a ridiculous statement. Obviously, we saw in the video that Brooks was engaged in a fight with the officers. They were on the ground. We know that when we're on the ground, we have a very high likelihood of being hurt or killed. It's not the place we want to be. This is not a wrestling match. Brooks is able to take a non-lethal weapon, a taser, away from one of the officers, and he flees. They give chase. He's committed to felony obstruction of an officer counts, and he needs to be held accountable. So they were perfectly justified in running behind Brooks to capture him. Brooks turned back to the officers and fired the taser. And we all know, this is a third law enforcement agency I've been head of, and in every agency I've gone to, I've required every officer who carries a taser to be tased with it, so that you understand the incapacitation. 5 seconds, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. That's 5 whole seconds that if an officer is hit with that taser, that all of his muscles will be locked up and he'll have the inability to move and to respond. And yet he is still responsible for every weapon on his belt. So if that officer had been hit, he still has a firearm on his side, and the likelihood of him being stomped in the head or having his firearm taken and used against him was a probability. And so he did what he needed to do, and this was a completely justified shooting.
So you think lethal force here was necessary?
It's very necessary. The Fourth Amendment allows it. This is the objective reasonableness standard, and there's nothing malicious or sadistic in the way these officers behaved, and it's very unfortunate that the law enforcement leaders in the state of Georgia have not come out and stood together on this case. I think it's political, and it's senseless. We're sending the wrong message to our black youth. We're telling them that it's okay, that they can run from the police, they can take a weapon from the police, they can fight with the police and point a weapon at the police and expect nothing to happen. That is the wrong message to send to black youth.
Now, I completely agree with him. That is the complete wrong message to send to black youth. We cannot continue to teach our young black youth in this country that resisting and fighting the police because the police are evil that's getting black people killed, and it will always get black people killed. It is harming black people, and yet it's exactly what the Black Lives Matter movement is doing. And I agree completely with this sheriff. And before you think, oh, he's just defending cops, he actually goes on in this interview and condemns Derek Chauvin, who killed George Floyd. He condemns, a lot of different police shootings. So no, he is not saying that all police shootings are justified, but this one absolutely was. And this is a good example. This is kind of getting to the point, is the police shootings in this country. First of all, we saw from the numbers that completely dismantled that idea that there's an epidemic of police shootings. The vast majority of police encounters with the public are peaceful and do not end in police shootings. Now, again, the ones that do end in police shootings, we don't want anyone to be killed or their life to be taken. But the vast majority of police shootings that do happen are justified shootings. So you cannot claim or say that just because the police shot someone that they're automatically wrong. And you also cannot claim that if they shoot a black person, it's because they were black and they're targeting black people. You can clearly see from the examples that we had, they were not targeting black people. Race had nothing to do with it. It is not about race. I can point to white people, unarmed white people who were shot. Examples being Daniel Shaver being one of the main examples, who was shot crawling down the hallway because the police made him crawl to them, and he was pulling up his pants as his pants were falling down, and they shot and killed him. Again, this isn't a black person issue. I hope this video has been helpful for you to break down the numbers. This is not to say that every police shooting is justified. They are not. This is not to say that every time a cop kills a person that it is justified or that it is okay. We want to make sure that no unjustified shootings happen. That is the goal. But we will never be able to do that until we stop with the fake information that is saying there's an epidemic of police violence and that they are targeting black people. We've got to get to the root cause of the unjustified shootings, and we'll never get there as long as we make up fake root causes that don't exist. Hope this video has been helpful for you. Go ahead and like the video and comment down below your opinions on the police shootings. Is there any information that was new in this video? Is there anything that jumped out to you? Or are there any other police shootings that you want to discuss? Put it down in the comments. Look forward to talking to you. Until next time. Thanks so much for watching. For more videos, click subscribe and hit that notification bell. And if you enjoyed the video, click that like button. See you next time.